Now we have the hair as a selection over here, and we have the body of us as a selection. So let's go about marrying those and actually masking the model off the page here. So I'm going to come under channels, go back here and turn on RGB, which will turn on all the channels. Now I'm going to go back to layers. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to load both selections in. So under selection, come down here to load selection near the bottom. And here you can see the two masks that we made. There's the body and there's the hair. So we're going to do body first. Go ahead and hit OK. There you can see it brought back the selection I'd made of her body. Now, similar to the last photo we used, if you leave this with a hard edge, it's going to give it that cardboard cutout feel, and we don't want that. So similar to what I did on the cereal bowl, we're going to go up here under selection. We're going to come here under modify, and we're going to feather it. Just soften that edge. And again, you only have to do it 1 pixel. That should be enough. It'll be just enough so that she won't look like she's a cardboard cutout. And go ahead and hit OK. So we've got her body selected. Now we have to add the hair into it. And in all the Adobe software, whenever you want to add to your selections, what you can do is just hold the Shift key down. So I've got her body selected. Now I'm going to hold the Shift key down. Now I'm going to come up here under selection again. And again, I'm still holding that Shift key down. Come over here to load selection. I'm going to find the hair. And now I can release the Shift key and hit OK. And now you can see it has married the entire selection together here. Once you've done that, what you can do is make sure you're clicking on the photo and come down here, and we can add the layer mask in here. And the minute I click on this icon, the rectangle with the circle in it, you can see that it went ahead and masked out the entire background on here. Now, here's one thing I usually do in situations like this. If you really want to check the mask, I would put a color behind here so we could see it. But here's the thing. For this assignment, you're going to be placing her on a colored background, so we'll be able to see how good the mask is. But if you look in here, you can see it really got quite a bit of detail in here. So what we're going to do is, again, for your final files, everything needs to be a 6x9 canvas. So we're going to go ahead and create 6x9 inches, 300 DPI or PPI resolution. Go ahead and hit create. And again, this is nested together. So let's do this first. I'm going to go ahead, we put all this work into this. Let's go ahead and save this file into your Photoshop files here. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm still getting used to this layout here. Not digging it, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go ahead and save this with the iStock number on there. Just save it. So we have it. And now what I'm going to do, I've got the canvas I'm working on here, and I've got my model I've masked out. I'm going to go ahead and tear this file off out so it's no longer nested together. Now what I can do is click on her layer and simply drag it over into my new canvas. And once you're done with that, we already saved this, so we can go ahead and close that out. Now we have her in the 6x9 format or canvas that we're using. So I'm going to go ahead, and you can go ahead and size her however you want. Remember, this is a beauty shot. We're probably selling the blow dryer here, so we'll want to see her hair. We'll want to see the product in there. And what I've asked you to do for this is to put a background color in here. Now, for this one, you could just fill the background file in here with color. I'm actually, excuse me, I'm going to add a separate layer for the colors. So you can come down here in the bottom of the layers menu here. There's a little file icon with a plus in it. I just clicked on that. Now I'm going to select a color that I want to use for the background. So I clicked on the color picker. And you can choose whatever color you want. I think what I'm kind of feeling is maybe more of a lavender or purple in here, which I think might look nice. And I'll just choose a color here. Once I have that and I have this layer selected, you can come up here under edit and we can just go ahead and fill. And I'm going to fill with the foreground color. And now you really have a chance to go and see how well you did on your masking in here. And it actually did a pretty good job on here, I have to say. There's some areas where it's a little kind of funky in here. What you can do when some of these flyaway hairs and everything start looking a little weird, here's the thing. Here's my image of the model and here's my mask. If I hold the Option key down and click on it, you can see what it looks like. So here's what you can do to clean this up a little bit if you want to. You can do a couple different things with it. The first thing you could do is maybe blur this a little bit. So the blur tool is over here. It looks like a little teardrop. And you can set how strong you want this at the top. I don't want to overdo it, so I'll probably pick something kind of in the mid-range. Make sure you're not blurring the photo. You want to make sure you're on the mask. So I'm going to come over here and click that I'm on the mask. And then what you can do is come in here and maybe blur some of these flyaway hairs a little bit to make it look a little bit not quite so pixelated on the hair there. So that could be one thing that you do. The other thing you could do, you could also kind of paint this out a little bit. Now, black will make something completely disappear. White will make something completely visible. But if you choose something that's not black or white, if you choose something that's in the middle like a gray, all right, and you choose the brush icon or the brush tool. And what we want to do is, if I just paint this like this, it's going to actually screw up my mask. What you want to do instead is, if you're going to paint with this, you want to change the blending mode on it. And what you want to do is go from normal to multiply. And you don't want to do 100%. What this means is I'm going to be painting, and I'll probably do like 25%. So as I paint with this, I'm adding to the black mask. So you can see it's fading out a little bit. So maybe that's the key to this, to have some of these fade out a little bit more when they're looking a little chunky. You can go in here. And again, here's what the mask is looking like as I do it. I'm just painting a little bit of that gray in here. And it's just darkening some of this hair a little bit so that it blends a little bit more seamlessly into your background. All right, once you get this where you like it, I'm going to show you a really fast and easy beauty technique that we use in a lot of advertising for beauty products or basically anything related to that. So here's what I'm going to do. This is a time-honored trick that I'm going to show you. What I'm going to do, I've got my background color layer, and you don't have to choose this lavender. You can choose whatever color you think works best back there. I'm going to select my background color, and I'm going to hold the Shift key down and also select my model. All right. When you hold the Shift key down, you can add to your selections on here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a top layer here that is both of these merged together. I don't want to actually merge these because if, again, I have to go back and do some additional work on it or the client hates the background color, if I merge these together, then I'm going to have to go all the way back to square one. So once you have both layers selected, it's a little keyboard ninja move that you need to do. You're going to hold 4 keys down. You're going to hold the Command key, the Option key. This is if you're on a Mac, the Shift key. If you're on a PC, it would be the Control, Alt, and Shift, I believe. But Command, Option, Shift, and the letter E. So you're going to hold 4 keys down all at once. And when you do that, you create a separate layer, and you can see up here, it's the model in the background merged. And the reason you want to do that, here's our little beauty trick. All right. On this merged layer that's on top, we're going to blur it a little bit. So under Filter, come up here and you want to come down here to blur. Now there's a lot of different blurs that you can do in Photoshop. The one I found works best for this trick is the Gaussian blur, so it's almost about halfway here. And what we're going to do, we're not going to blur it a lot. I would just blur it maybe 10 pixels, so there's a little bit of a blur to everything. And you're probably thinking, why did I go to all this trouble to mask all this out if I'm going to blur it? Well, the reason is we're going to use this technique to give the model a little bit of a glow, and I'll show you how this works. So I still have my model and my background underneath here. Here's my blurred image. What you're going to do is go into the blending modes on this, come down here and put it on soft light. And then you can already see it kind of gives her a little bit of a glow. It's probably a little too much. So you can play around with the opacity here, how much you want this glow effect to show or work. I usually tend to put it around 40%. I don't know, I've just found that it gives it enough of it so that people don't notice it without knowing you're tricking them. So there it is without, there it is with the effect. And once you get to this point, you're done with this file. So we're going to go ahead and save it the two ways you want to do it for each of the techniques here. Under File, you want to do Save As. We want to go into our PSD folder that we created. And I'm just going to go ahead and call this Beauty, since that's how it's labeled. B-E-A-U. Spelling is not my strong suit here. All right. So this is going to be my layered file that, say the client doesn't like the effect, you can come back here and turn it off. Say the client doesn't like the violet color back here, you can change it. So you always want to make sure you save this master file that's layered of whatever you're working on. Go ahead and hit OK. Now it comes time to find the save the file that's going to go in the document. So we're going to flatten this image. And again, don't flatten it until you've already saved off your layered version. So come over here to the hamburger menu. Down near the bottom, you'll see flatten. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to change the color space. Here you can see it's in RGB. So under image, come down here to mode and shift it into CMYK. Now this violet may be one of those colors where you can really see the shift between the color space. I'm not sure, I haven't used it before, but we'll go ahead and hit OK. There you can see that color changed drastically. So that's a really good illustration of the difference. And it's good to understand that because oftentimes you work with very vibrant colors on the computer, and then when you go to print them out, you're going to be sorely disappointed. So it's not nearly as bright and vibrant as I thought it would be, but we're going to have to go ahead and for time's sake, I'm just going to live with it. If you don't really like it, you can always go back, hit Command Z, and maybe adjust the color to something that doesn't dull down as much. But again, for time's sake, we're going to go ahead and save this file. Instead of PSD, we're going to come down here to the TIFFs folder I made. And always make sure you change the format here to TIFF. And then you'll be done with the beauty one. And again, that's probably the most complicated technique that I'm going to show you in this assignment. So go ahead and save, choose IBM or PC, do that, and then you're done.